How you doing?
What's up, dude? What's up, bud? Come on, Angel.
Yeah, I don't know. Girl, you had that party out there.
Jill.
Ron, this is everybody. Everybody's gonna tell you who they are. I'm sure you done.
See her.
I know you.
Hey, guys.
This is and this is my tribe.
Okay.
You got to take them again.
That's gorgeous.
And this is Shelly.
Shelly, how y'all doing? All right.
And with Lena Russell, these are my high school.
Evelyn Russell, man. Golden gold. Golden gold. Who is this on here? Yes, excuse me. Hey, Ezra, she looking good. All right.
They're gonna use real
What about Proctor and his wife?
What about Proctor?
Got 1 minute.
Yeah, that was big
Right.
guys. You're in the live
All
too.
right.
That was cold blooded.
But see,
But
I
you're
rock
right,
it
no,
out.
but they got it.
That
About
part.
to go down.
That part.
But don't nobody know it's poetry.
Hey.
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
Jackie Ray still they don't
You
know
have
where
to
she
give
at.
it after
And
birth.
but do you guys know that something? All right,
No,
about to go
no.
live, guys.
Man.
So hopefully.
That part.
I'm in love with that. You should saw me last night. Last night in Pittsburgh, and he was laying down for midnight. Those are my stars. That's all I said, oh, okay.
He killed her.
Lady Princess? Yeah,
It's his birthday.
He made her. He made her go.
And that was did not call 911. He telling up
He said he made somebody write that letter.
Yes.
Put that letter together. Yeah, he did. And then showed her that beautiful ring about his secretary. She's like, oh, he's like, like you know. You want to hear
What's
that?
up, Holmes? How you doing? That's right. Pleasure, Dante.
All right, guys, here we go. All right, ladies, so remember, just right up here. Okay. We on Facebook?
I'll start.
We on Facebook?
Oh, this is fun.
Oh, goodness.
I love everything. Look around.
Turn mine down a little bit.
You good?
Can you hear?
Good evening, and welcome to the Poetry Justice Show with Jackie Ray Phillips here on YaksRadio.com. Now you know on Yaks Radio here on the Poetry Justice Show, this is where social consciousness meets the arts. And we select topics that spark the interest and awareness of social diversity ranging from arts, entertainment, and social justice at large, leaving our listeners thinking and saying,
Yikes!
YaksRadio.com. And you know, that's the sultry sounds of my mentor, the Mr. Kevin Nash. He is the owner of this amazing establishment here at AccelerateRadio.net. And Kevin has been doing this for a long time, and YaksRadio.com came about 2 years ago. And so the gal here, the queen of Yaks Radio, I always love to do respect and homage to the Mr. Nash. And then, of course, I'm going to give honor and respect to my sponsorship, Miss Lori Ray Fisher of Gingy Productions and Entertainment Company, as well as APS Muscle Cars and WMPJ Steelworks. Yes! So welcome, everybody. Guys, tonight's going to be amazing because I've got so many amazing introductions. And I'm going to start with my childhood friend, and we always used to say from the sandbox, right, Angie? We said from the sandbox. And I have the beautiful, I mean literally on the inside out. She's a, yeah, you know it's true. This is really the truth. Miss Angie, because she has a couple aliases because she's sexy like that. So, but I'm gonna just put it out. I think the new one is Miss, you gonna help me out, Willina? Miss Angie Johnson Barbie.
Yes.
Did I do it right?
Yes, you did.
Yay. Welcome, Angie. I love you so much. And then I have the adoring. This beautiful lady here, me and her went through a lot of pain together, a lot of sweat together, a lot of hot cinder July mornings from 6 a.m. to 8 o'clock a.m. running our little sails around that track in Compton High School, y'all. Remember that red dirt?
Yes.
You remember that red dirt?
You can't forget the red.
Girl, I think I see my knees and still ain't right. But you just as tight and hot as you was out on that cheerleading field, my girlfriend. And that is to this Miss Walina Bird.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you, Alina, for being in the house tonight. And then, of course, I'm going to go on ahead and take care of our gentleman in the house. And I have the pleasure of welcoming a family friend, a childhood friend. And I think I'm going to just toss the mic over to my sister, Miss Lori Ray Fisher, because you want to do an introduction for our amazing studio guest for here in Chattanooga.
We do. Good evening, everybody. It's Lori G. And so we have the pleasure of welcoming, as Jackie said, one of our childhood friends, family members, as we think of him, and someone who's extremely opinionated, who is one of our devoted listeners. You can always count on him to chime in and to have something to say. He's an actor. He makes commercials. He is always sharing what he is doing in the community, and it's just going to be a great time here with Mr. Roddy Rod Boyd. Welcome, Rod.
Look! It's Keith!
Hello.
Hey! Oh my God! I gotta get off the mic, guys. I love you, everybody. Oh my God! Oh, just 1 minute, one guy. This is like real radio, real people. Yaxradio.com. Yaxradio.com. It's so good to see you. Oh my God, we got the Hoyd
We have the
man in
Hoyd
the house tonight.
men here, the Hoyd brothers.
Tell it, Lori. Go
They're
ahead.
here to join
Oh,
us.
my
Wow.
God.
My big cousin
I
in
know,
law
I
just
know.
walked in. Mr. Keith
Oh,
Boyd.
so this is so awesome.
Great memories, guys. And I just want you to know that Keith, he was really our big brother growing up.
Yeah.
He was married to our cousin, which is really like our sister, Cynthia Boyd.
And I hold you with the highest esteem.
Exactly.
The highest
Amen.
esteem. Love her so much.
Yes. And just really took care of us. We ruined all their dates.
Yeah.
All their dates.
We spoiled all their dates.
They had
guys.
no private time at all. It was Keith, Cynthia, Jackie, and Lori, along with Brother Ezel. So it was a full house
You
going
were
on.
so good to us. Oh my God.
We were the worst. Absolutely. We were the worst. We really, really were. So welcome. And Keith, I want you to weigh in on our topics, okay?
Okay,
All
I
right.
So we've got Mr. Roderick Hoyd in the house, Mr. Keith Hoyd in the house, Miss Shelley C. of the chat,
Hey.
and Tanya Michelle.
That time,
Hello.
Michelle.
You see over there, with that Chris Shaw shirt on. You know, Inglewood always let you know good. You just living the stereotype. I love you.
I am who
Lord.
I am.
Black family. I want everyone to know that Mr. Hoyd, Roderick Hoyd, brought that topic to us tonight. Melina, he shared that we need to do something. What's happening with the black family in America as a unified community scenario? Rod, what was about it? What made you decide on that topic? Family.
Well, because family is so important to me, you know, my immediate family and my father and mother and grandmother and grandfather, you know, different ones, rest in peace. But my dad always brought us here to California from Mississippi on vacations, and it was like, you know, out of sight in Cadillacs. We had Cadillacs like every time we came every year from Mississippi. People think Mississippi is the sticks, but it's, you know, we had central heating before they had air conditioning stuff out here. And then to get to California was just like a dream, but I never knew what Mexicans and Hispanics were. You know what I'm saying? I never knew what the Crips and the Bloods and all that stuff was, you know what I'm saying? Because I used to being chased home when I'm in Mississippi, but when I came to California, I was chased home in Compton. You know, and it wasn't just the Bloods or the Crips, it was like 1,000 gangs. I mean, I 40 or 50, at least the Godfather, the Brims, the Pyrus, you know, Food Town. So anyway, getting back to the family, you know, by us coming out here, we had to kind of like, since the family's so big, different ones in Boulder, they came to California automatically, but we had to branch out. I went to Compton, Keith went to Harbor City. So seeing the Jackson Five, rather than stuff, you know, seeing their family, and it's always like my ideal, you know, like we had 10 in our family, like we the Jacksons. You know, we the Mississippi Jacksons.
Yes.
But it was just family, you know, it was all about cousins and uncles and stuff like that. And then being black, like I say, this is my minority, my ethnicity. So that's what I was thinking about family. You know, I think where the world is going today, everybody's family. You know, even though I don't know you, my sister, this guy over here, that's my brother. So family unity is where it should always be. People always say, well, you know, family's about nothing, but your family still will be with you to the end.
Yes,
The immediate family, your closest family have a way of doing you wrong sometimes, but that's just the way it goes. But still, family is family. Like I have a dream that all people, all minorities, whether Hispanics, whites, or whatever, but family, whether it's Spanish, you know, white, whether it's black, I feel that family should be more enhanced today in this world today, and everybody, we should stop tripping, thinking we're separate, and bringing family together like that.
right.
You know what I'm saying? It's just everybody's just family. Stop trying to kill, stop trying to hate because I didn't marry into your family, or I stay across that street like what happened to Nipsey and different stuff, different gang. It don't have to be like that. So we are all the family. So let's keep it on the family level. That was important to me.
Amen. What does family mean to you, Laura G. and Tanya Michelle?
You want to start, Tanya Michelle?
I think, you know, for me, family, we do have our immediate family that's, you know, connected by bloodline. And then we have our extended family like the chat and the people in this room. But I think a family to me is like a sense of unity, and a sense of just sharing experiences, giving a lot of love, respect, which I think has been lost. And that's when we get to the things we research. I think the respect inside the family has been lost. But just unity and love and sharing and growth and experiences. You know, I think so much when I think of families because it's always not positive. It can be, you know, negative, but that negative can turn into something that can make you grow.
Yes.
And so, that's what I think.
I think for me, when I think about family, I think about comfort. Okay, right? It's a place where I can be Lori and not the many faces of Lori, right? So that's like you have a work Lori, right? And you have a business Lori, a recreational Lori. You have all these different faces and masks that we have to wear for the different roles that exist in our lives. But I believe that family is the one place where you can be comfortable and you can be who you are.
Okay.
I think also for me, family is, as Tanya Michelle says, is not necessarily your bloodline, right? Because you don't get to pick that. You don't get to pick who's your mom, your brother, your sister, your cousin, right? But we can travel through and find individuals in which we create family ties and we create family bonds. So I think it's important in defining family that it isn't just through DNA, right? What about you, Shelly?
I feel the same way. I feel that family is, it is about unity, but also it's a place where you feel comfortable and where you can be yourself. You know, there's no judgment. They always have your back. You always have theirs. And I think they're part of your village. I think they're the people that help you raise your children. Because we all know these days we can't just raise our children ourselves, especially in this world. But I think that's what I think of when it comes to family. Not somebody that's necessarily, like you said, in my bloodline, but somebody I know is at my back. So.
I was gonna go ahead and take one of from our studio audience, Angie. I wanted to know if you could come up between Lori and Tanya, if you will, and if you could give us your view on family, what that means to you, and we'll lean in, please, if you could please.
I kind of agree with the ladies. The same thing for me. I believe family is not necessarily someone who's related to you. Family can be anybody who you have that bond with, who has your back. Same thing like the ladies were saying. And so I have a lot of what I consider people who are family, even though they're not blood related like this one here. She calls my mom her mom.
Yes.
So to me, she's like a sister, you know, even though we're not blood related. So that's how I feel about that. It doesn't necessarily have to be someone related to you.
Right. Well, Lena, what about you when you think about family?
As Angie, I do agree, like these ladies have mentioned, family is unity.
Okay.
Family is, I mean, just we grew up in Compton.
Yes.
The bottom line, and I grew up on a street that I truly was blessed to have. It's very unusual. And my community was actually family, along with my family. So my grandmother was everyone's grandmother. We entered each other's homes and ate dinner, like she said, respect.
Yes.
We respect each other. We
Yes.
respect each other's parents, and that seemed to be lost today. It's absolutely lost.
When you think about that it being lost, could you think of what would you say is one of the factors that created that loss?
To be very honest, I really think that we lost the sense of who we are
Okay.
as a people.
Okay.
Sometimes, I mean, we have.
Mhm.
You know, we don't know who we are, so sometimes, I mean, we do and we don't.
Right.
But the bonds that they used to have in the 60s and moving forward, to me, it has been lost. I mean, for myself, I can see the transition, you know, like we were 70 babies kind of in a way, to the 80s and to the 90s. I actually see the family deteriorating. I truly do. So hopefully we can get those things back.
Yes, yes. Well, I'm hoping that this platform and your input tonight and things of this nature can kind of get us on that road of recovery with what family is and unification and my brothers and sisters keeper, more or less. Laura, I know you have way more detail because this is going to be your train tonight.
Oh, wow. Gets to be my train. Yay. Well, I thought a lot about family, and as you mentioned about the destruction of, or Rod, as you mentioned, the uplifting of, and so I thought it might be fun if everyone brought a different aspect or concern that they have regarding the Black family and the state that we are today, and we could also begin to share and talk about what we feel with that, you know, and kind of see what message or information that we could begin to pass on. And so I think it might be good if we start with the respect within the Black family, since we're just talking about that. And I think, Tanya, you mentioned that was your area of concern.
Yeah, that was my area of concern. I actually pulled up an article when I was doing my research, and it was saying that the Black family is way off, worse than it was in the 1960s. And I was doing some further research on that, and I really think it's because, and you know, so I think when women liberation came out, and this is just my opinion, back in the 60s, the Black male was really the dominance of the house. They were reverenced. You know, the woman tend to the house, she tend to the kids. And then women's lib came along, and then that changed. And so now there's a lot of women that they don't need men, or you don't have to be around, or I don't respect what you say, or I don't care what you say, and so I think that shift of this whole women liberation changed the Black families, because in the Black families, when you look at that was the cornerstone. The Black man, he went to work, he did everything, he provided. The woman, she stayed at home. Now, I'm not saying that women should stay at home, because I believe that women should have careers. But in staying at home, she kind of respected his opinion. She respected the things that he did. He had some type of governance over the kids, you know, and so all that shifted. And so the report said, and I wrote a few notes when I have the report, it said the Black family is worse than in the 1960s, but the white family also is too, but it was really focusing on, so family in every race has declined since then. But the Black family, the article was on Black families, it's called the Negro Report, and it says that in 1950, 17% of African American children lived at home with their mother and not their father, but by 2010 it had increased to 50%. So 50% of the homes had no males in them by 2010. And in 1965, only 8% was out of wedlock, and in 2010, 41% were out of wedlock. And so it just shows that shift of you seeing that it's this mindset, and for women, that they don't need men, you know, or it's not that need to try to make the family work. You know, all of us who were married for a long time, been married for a long time, you know that marriage is hard. And nowadays most women could walk away, but you have this desire, we talk about this all the time, to kind of keep it together. Back then they had no choice. So they stayed and they worked through, and they were married for 7 years. Now it's like, forget it, I'll leave. So the respect for the Black family as a unity is gone in the translation of communication in a positive, loving way, is gone between the male and the female. Because I can tell you, and I'm just trying to be transparent, I can get mad at my husband. There's some things I think about that I can really say to him. And then sometimes I have to say, but he's a black man. He gets torn down on the streets. He gets torn down by his peers. He gets torn down by his friends. Do I really want to tear him down in my household? It's easy to do because we're so independent. I have a lot to say on my mind, but you have to catch yourself because I don't want to be part of the statistics. So I think that's what it stemmed from.
What do you think about Fantasia? My mind is on Fantasia. What do you think of
I don't know about Fantasia.
Well, Fantasia tends to think, and if I'm piggybacking, Marlena, have you heard this? She tends to think that women need to submit to their husbands and to men in general. And that if we get back to that, maybe we get back to that Jackson 5 family, 1960s style. Huxtable unity. Shelley's about to slap
But
the crap out of
but
me.
you know what? I agree with Fantasia.
Marlena, please tell me
Yeah,
something.
I agree with
I
Fantasia.
actually agree.
Shelley's about to have a heart attack, but Marlena.
I agree to a certain
Sierra.
extent. I agree to a certain extent, and I'm gonna have to touch on my girl Frida said.
Uh-oh, not Frida. We're gonna bring Frida out.
Oh,
Yeah, we gotta leave it. We gonna leave it.
I do
Let the
believe in that.
Jaguar hold on for a minute.
I solely believe in that you should be submissive,
Yes.
and you should be submissive to the man in your household.
Okay.
But you need to be aware of who you're letting lead your household.
That's right.
Because if he can't, then he will lead you straight to, I think I've said that already, hell. He will.
Marlena, go ahead.
Well, that's true, so that when
Like,
it
really?
comes to, you need to select the right partner.
Right, there it is. That's why I was like,
But let's say you got that right partner.
Yes.
Let's say so
Okay.
you got the right partner. Marlena, go ahead.
Yeah,
we got
so
you.
if you do have the right partner, I really believe that you should step back and trust
I
that he
agree.
can lead.
I agree. I
Okay.
agree.
Because,
Yes.
I mean, it becomes a battle if you're trying to be the man.
It does, but let me ask you a question. Have you ever met a man and you said, oh no, he can't run this? Have you ever met one and said that?
Absolutely, that's
Yeah.
why we're not together.
Right. So that's what I meant by,
Mr. Bird, right?
that's what I meant by you have to be careful who you choose to be submissive to and run your household. That's all I'm saying.
But I also think that submission, I think what we run away, we forget is that, because I got criticized as a very young wife. I ran everything by my husband. Lori knows I did everything. I always checked with Joe. I did all that type of stuff. I was almost to the extreme. And then when I knew myself more, I could balance it out. But I think what happens is submission in a relationship is also knowing who does what best. And it used to be a time where the man was the one who did the business. He did all that stuff. He did the labor. He did all those things. And then that shifted because women now have some type of more experience or more confidence or more knowledge or whatever it was. So submission is, my husband is very organized. I submit to your organization.
Yes.
If you're gonna tell me how to organize pickups, clean, he submits to my cooking because he can't cook. You know what I mean? So I'm
Right.
saying it's about learning what to submission is not like
Compromise.
bow down like it's like in the Bible. I can't do anything, and that's what I thought because
No.
initially
that's not.
so I thought like I didn't want to make any decisions independent of my husband
Oh.
because that's how my aunt was. That's how my aunt taught me. But my uncle was a different man than my husband. He was born back in the 30s, and so until I understood that, and she told me on her deathbed, she said, "I see a few mistakes you're making." You know, and so submission doesn't mean give up everything of yourself.
She's absolutely
But
correct.
she never did that in front of us. So when you looked at her, it looked like she was also, okay, yes. She said, it's still being who you are. That was her last word she told me on her deathbed. And that's when I changed because, like I said, Lori, you want to go? Let me check with Joe. Let me check with Joe. Let me check with Joe. Because that, in my mind, is what my aunt was a successful marriage to me because that's who I saw wasn't my mother because it was my aunt.
How do you feel about that, Ron? Listening to what Latanya's talking about, the submissive part. What do you think of that?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't just say it's submissive. The days time that we're living in is just that I feel we're just equal. I really do. I feel the man should know it too. that we're equal, just because our sexual organs is different, but we the same, we on the same page, and we need to go by the same rule, you know what I'm saying? You know, cooking, you know, playing those little role playing is cool, but it's just different time and day. It's a different, the women make the money, they go out, be executives, whatever, the men can be the firemen, or they can be the babysitter, whatever it be, but main thing is just love, you know, let's get with the children, this just not be about the mother and the father. Let's get the children, it's the network, it's not the mother and father, it's the kids, the mother and the father. That's how I feel, that's the only way we're gonna keep it, and we have to get them off these iPhones and get into the background and get into our heritage, where we came from. These kids these days, they forget about, and the parents are not teaching them about Uncle Junkie Johnny or Cracky Dacky Roddy or whoever it was, whatever they was, they need to love from the point between the transition of slavery and after slavery to where we now to the world is going. We need to get this all our heritage where we came from. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I do agree with you, Rod. I think that one thing that we don't do as a race of people, in my opinion, is that we don't share and teach our heritage. We don't share and teach from where we came to where we are now and where we want to go. You know, I think that is a huge part that's missing. And I do agree with you, Tanya Michelle, that there is definitely room for feminism in the Black family, right? But there also, and I'm gonna let you speak afterwards, Ms. Ross. There's definitely room for feminism in any place, right? But I think there's also room within reason, and it's like someone scratches their nails on a chalkboard when I hear women say, "I don't need a man." Right? I don't need a man. I got myself.
You ain't never
know?
heard that from me.
Well, I'm just saying that there are.
You never heard that from me.
And I've kind of like crafted that to say, and I remember my dad, Jackie, you remember that too, is my dad said you want to be in a position where, yes, you don't need a man, but you should want one, right?
Yep.
Because God created us to cohabitate,
And I
right?
think that's the difference, Lori G. I think you're getting right to the point. I think that's the difference in back then and now. A lot of us are in a position to say, hey, if I don't like this, I can walk away. I think back then, a lot of us were in positions where we couldn't. So that family stayed together because she couldn't walk. Because I've heard many things where people stayed for many different reasons, but it wasn't for love, or it wasn't for because they were getting along. It was because I had to stay.
But then I have, and that might be something for the table too. I know divorce statistics, I haven't looked up the actual number, but the divorce statistics amongst all cultures is at a all-time high,
Almost
right?
50%.
50%? Okay. So, I mean, the question becomes, how much do you work at? Do we now, as a generation of people, and I think we're all up here around about the same generation, does our generation really work at that entity? Or is it so easy? I remember Jackie was a guy we used to work with, was his name Gar?
Yes.
Right. And he was really struggling. Gar was white though, but he was really struggling with marrying this lady. Because Gar liked, the Jennifer Lopez's of the world. But Gar
Pamela
was like,
Anderson Lee, but he's like
Pee Wee Herman. He was a Pee Wee Herman going
Forrest
after
Gump.
Jennifer Lopez. He was below Forrest Gump. He was like really Pee Wee Herman. But those are the women he liked. He liked Jennifer, but Jennifer wasn't giving him no play, right? So he's like, well, you know what? I'm gonna find a female version of Pee Wee Herman, and I'm gonna marry her. And his statement was, if it don't work, I'll just divorce her. So I wonder about that. I also have a friend, who that's his philosophy. His philosophy is we're dating. Oh, well, let's get married. If it don't work, we get divorced. He's on wife 7.
Yes, people do that. People do that.
So where did that change? Where did we turn that corner? Angie, you got any advice? Anything there?
I just think that he's not willing to do the work or something. 7 wives? That's ridiculous. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's on wife 7.
Lori Rod has
Okay.
Well, if I can say this, I don't talk about my age too much, but I just turned 60. But when
All right, praise God.
ever since I was a kid, and my dad, we had 10 kids, were married over 60, 70 years. And I always had the attitude that I got married and I went to some beautiful women. I had my chances. I wanted to be married for life. That was just my input on
It's a
life.
commitment.
I saw my dad and my mother, and probably Jack and their mother, everybody, but that's my ideal dream. Is just whoever it is in any type of marriage arrangement, I need to stay together. You know, like the divorce rate somebody was talking about, we need to stop that.
Yeah, you know, I think, go ahead, Sean.
But I have a question, Rod. Okay, it seems, and I'm not generalizing, well, maybe I am.
Okay.
It seems that I've heard the men that I hear say that when I get married, I want it to be one time, it's gonna be, I want it to last forever. What happens in that process? Because they never seem to make that leap.
Yeah, well, with me, I knew how much I loved women. So I knew I would be strictly cheating.
He's so honest. I like that.
I
I
would
like that.
be lying. I would do something wrong
Got it.
to make it happen.
Yeah, I love it.
You know, I was getting ready to say, I think the couples back then too made it look easy. The mothers, you would never see them go off, say anything to the fathers. I was liable to say something to Joel in front of the kids, right? But we all
You
are,
think?
if we're honest, I'm not alone.
No, I'm not.
I'm not alone.
Yikes.
And so they made it look very, very easy. They kept a lot of their business very private.
Very private.
They're very, very private. So when it's not that they didn't struggle or go through the things that we're going through. They had a different level of concern in their marriage. They just didn't show it. Now with social media, all this technology, everything you can read is at the tip of a push of a button and all that. It's more easy to say, like for me, like they would have been already talking about what I'm talking about now. That would have been none of y'all business. They wouldn't have said nothing. But I think that's almost where the mistake was made, because they made it look so easy, so you wanted that dream. No one said it was hard. This is what you need to do. It's a lot of work, and you have to stay committed. They just stayed committed, and you saw 70 years, and you thought that was beautiful, but you didn't know how they got there.
Right.
And I think that's the difference now. So now what I do differently is I tell my daughter, I was like, it's hard work, or she sees it's hard work. It's hard work. You got to make a choice to be committed. I could have been divorced 20 times by now if I'm going to keep it real on the table. There's many times that I want to just walk out. But I think those stories are not shared. I mean, if you're honest, if we're going to be honest, those stories was never shared back then. And so
No, things were
they were a lot different.
more private.
Yeah.
Do we thank feminism for that?
There's more
That
openness.
feminism brought about this
I really
era
do.
of more openness?
I really do.
And your opinion as to whether you want to stay or not. I think back then some people really didn't have a choice. Now, like you said, there's some things you could have 20 times, but that's your choice. It's not that you had to stay. I think there's a difference. I mean, even there's men that even had children outside the marriage, but still married. I mean, it's just, and they stayed. Now, see, that's a deal breaker for me. I'm not doing. Yes.
That's a deal breaker for everybody.
That's a deal breaker. We are not married anymore. You can go over there with them kids.
Thank you, Dante. So, okay, as always, what do we do about that? What do we do about strengthening the respect within the Black family? Strengthening that structure, as you say, Rod, getting back to, that families forever and building each other up, and we're equal partners at this thing.
Well, I feel that we need to have more organization and more meetings, more get-togethers, just more confession about our true inner selves, who we are, and stop everybody trying to be like in the family who's more up on the totem pole, who's the drug addict, who's the gay person, just different issues about money, financial situations, and status, and we just gonna have to heal our family through finances and through, like I say, talking and I guess our godliness. Everything seems like you gotta have some type of God, some type of institution, some type of higher power, because what everybody talks about too is, when I get to heaven, I want to see Dad again. I want to see that type of stuff. We got to get it together. Unity, like somebody was saying, unity.
I mean, and I think we have to, I agree with you about the family get-togethers, but I've talked to a lot of individuals, this is primarily people at work. I kind of like to hang out with the older people there. I'm becoming one of those older people, which is really sad for me. But anyway, I'm trying to look good, y'all. There we go. Still trying to look good. Keep it together. And the biggest complaint is that the next generation, they don't want to pick up the torch. So they don't want to have the Christmas Eve party. They don't want to plan the family
They want
reunion.
to come to yours.
They want to come and eat. They want to come and eat, but they don't want to play. They don't want to do the Thanksgiving
The work.
dinner. So how do we inspire this up and coming generation to do what Big Mama did, to do what you did? Like you cook every meal every day, 5-7 times.
I don't even know how
a
you
day.
even do anything.
I never.
else.
Yeah, you know, she just cook constantly. Joy don't cook like that.
No, she doesn't.
Okay, so I'm just
And
saying,
it's
how do
probably
we
because
pass
she
that
looked,
on?
it's probably because she looked at me and was like, I'm not gonna be a fool like her. She was like, I ain't slaving like that. Forget that. But I think this food is so readily accessible too. And you can now buy turkey dinners and buy this type of stuff, and people are just quick fixes.
You got Uber now, right?
Uber
Eats. DoorDash.
Now I do have Joy come in the kitchen. She reluctantly comes, and if it's a dish she wants to make, she'll do it, and she enjoys the family moment. She really does. Because we have a lot of stuff at the house. You know, she enjoys all that. She's just not ready to take the lead on it. And I don't know if that will change when she's on her own and get her family. It's different when you have to do
Doing
stuff.
something right.
When you have to do it.
When you want your kids to have a good meal. Or
Right,
you
right,
want,
right,
yeah,
right.
it's
When you have to do it, you do it. I
But
look
I
back.
think that's different from like cooking food for your kids, right? Like, you know, Keith, you remember that Shirley and Jack had the New Year's Eve get down. For years and years and years. That's a lot of work. Was it New Year's Eve? Christmas Eve. Christmas. Get down with the hot chili.
Yeah,
my
with
Aunt
chili,
Shirley and
chili.
that chili.
Chilling.
That right? Exactly. I mean, those big soirees where your legs hurt because you've been
The whole
standing so
family.
long.
You all
cleaning
had a big
and
family
cooking.
meeting. I
We don't
remember
do that really.
Remember like going to the Hoyt
Yeah, the
family
Hoyt
as
family.
kids? Every time I
Exactly.
used to love
There's
to
so
go to
many
you
of
guys'
them.
house because it was like, it's just, you're right, like the Black Jackson family, you know, we knew you guys were rich, you guys were, I mean, just rich in every
Beautiful,
way.
all of
Yeah.
that.
I
Yeah.
mean, just a lineage of just beautiful family. Just that's family. When I think of family, we got a caller. Hello, you're on the air. Hello, caller, you're on the air.
Hi, Jackie Ray.
Hey, this is Jackie Ray. Who's this?
Thank you for inviting me to the radio broadcast program. The things you guys are talking about are things that I've seen, witnessed, and experienced. You know, being that I'm probably twice as old as anybody on the radio station today. But
You gotta tell me your name. You gotta tell our listeners your name.
take place, I believe, with the church. I think the church has to be one of the main streamlines that bring about the change from the generations, and schedule set up a platform where we can have family togetherness. Family togetherness and family dinners, grandmas, and all these things have almost become ancient and things of the past and only in memories of books. But to reinstill those things is really, I don't know if it's impossible, because I look at some of my grandkids and all they do is they're on the phone, they're on the computer, and they don't communicate as when we were growing up, when we didn't have computers and things like that, so we communicated verbally. So I just throw that out there, and thank you for taking my call. God bless you all.
God bless you. You're not gonna tell us your name, caller?
Oh, yes, my name is William Wilson.
Thank you, William. Bless you. Thank you so much.
But you know what we haven't talked about? We're talking about all this love and stuff, but there's some dysfunctions in these families. It's
Yeah, but
sometimes
that's the part that you just have to put
But-
up
She
to
said yes.
That's the
and so I
part
think
that-
that's the part that
You
stops
just
you from
accept it.
doing stuff sometimes. And if you want
It's
to
in
be
every
honest,
family.
and, you know, and so I throw
Everybody's got those sheeps.
yes.
You know, I'm one. I got two.
And so how do you work around that? That's because I think that's what's caused the disconnection of the family, because people are not just, they're becoming individuals inside the family, and so they want, and very opinionated inside the family, And so all that, and I know for me, will cause me not to be around that family because you're like, I just need positive energy. And so if you're bringing the negative energy, I may not want you to come over. And so how do we navigate around that? I don't think that that was the case back in the day. Everybody was bringing a pot. Everybody was doing this. Everybody was, because they had nothing else to do but
I
be
think there,
in a family
I think there
unity.
was. I think there had to be negativity back
Yeah.
in the day. I mean, I just think that the majority dealt with it maybe differently. People just didn't check out. I know
Right.
from our little family, there's only 5 of us, but you know, we had a cousin. We knew he was gonna get drunk,
Right.
and we knew
start feeling
he was
on
gonna
folks.
start feeling on his family. He was gonna fill you up.
We know it right now, so we still don't invite his ass.
But back when we were kids growing up, he was just the one you stayed away
Away
from.
from.
You like judged his level of alcoholic consumption. And
Yes.
we were little. I mean, we
Yes.
were like 10, 12.
He's drunk
And you'd be
today.
like, okay, he's gotten there. Let me go. Let me go. He's out. I'm out. Let me stay away from him. You know, but I don't think we put up with that anymore as families.
No,
as
we
you were
don't.
saying, Rod, I don't. We've got to love the crackhead. We got to love,
Yeah.
you know, all of our family.
Yeah, and one more thing with my mother, she don't like me to tell her age, she's 92. And
Praise
those,
God.
those old people, man, I hate to say it, I was talking to somebody one time about the importance of an old person and a newborn person. And it's like, well, old people, if life had to be saved, or old person or young person, it's the young person. The younger, no, I don't believe in that. The old person paid their dues to be here. And we need to make sure that they can eat, they can be happy. And like my mother, she won't eat. Plus the whole family. Everybody come over, she will offer any kid, anybody, any stranger, any neighbor, she will offer to buy them something. And that's what we need is leadership. We need leaderships in the black community. That's what I think we need.
Leadership, I
That's
like
true.
that. I like that.
So let's transition on along to say, well, one thing we know is that we've got to get the respect back, right? And that helps build our families. Shelley C., what have you observed about the black
I've observed that there's no more tradition. Tradition has kind of gone away as well. I think we were talking about how, are we gonna be able to pass the torch or pass the apron, to our kids? I think it's about spending time, quality time with them when they're young and bringing them up, you know, especially like in the kitchen, I believe. I have children that enjoy being in the kitchen, but they've been in the kitchen with my grandmother or their grandmother on their father's side or my great-grandmother. They've been in the kitchen, so now they're ready to take up that tradition. So I think in the black family, I also think tradition is missing. I really do. And spending time with the older people, the elders, finding more out about your family, about your heritage, about the back. I know more about my family than my grandmother did because my grandmother never sat down with my great-grandmother. But I was always talking to her about family and tradition and trying to keep it going even through my kids. And I think that's what's missing, tradition.
I think we should pose a challenge here on Poetry Justice. Sure. How about we pose a Soul Food Sunday challenge? You remember that movie, Melina? Soul Food
Sunday?
But
Yeah.
thinking maybe we can challenge, we can be a part of the challenge, and we all can start getting together on Sundays, right? Maybe not every Sunday, but one Sunday a month. And we bring a potluck and we bring a Soul Food Sunday and we air that. You know what I'm saying? We film it and we can start tradition, leadership. So the Poetry of Justice show, the ladies of the chat, Rod, Angie, Belina, Keith, you see what I'm saying? Each one, it starts in-house. That's just something we can put out there. We can have our own little Soul Food Sunday and kind of bring that tradition back for those who don't even know what it looks like. Because there's so much fragmentation within the black community. And I know what I want to get to, and I don't know if we'll do it in this segment or perhaps our next segment or not, no time like the present. I would like to talk about the impact of mass incarceration. I believe the United States government attack, which resulted in the crack, which resulted into the mass incarceration that we are all facing right now. I believe that had to have a phenomenal, epic proportioned, tsunami-like impact on family. And I think that is where we get this super strong situation with women, with the black women in our community, because this is what I'm focusing on, because you have to fucking do it. God bless me, I said that word. Because you have to do it. Because your man, or woman in this case too, but let's just go back to the 80s, for me, what I saw in my life, my opinion, right? When I see my friends and family members, so now it's like 85, 86, everything is popping, jopping, everything is all good in the hood. 87, 88, 89, knocking off life, knocking them off life, 15 to life, 17 to life, life, boom, all of them locked up. Some of my people still in here. Some just got out. 30 years, 27 years, gone. What your girl gonna do? She had 2 kids, you the rock star in the neighborhood, you rolling in the Elko, boom.
You won't go.
Next thing you know, it's the nigga trap. You on golden,
You
straight
on
real,
golden.
straight real. You on golden, you pop and cop the swap meet, all that, lights, click, 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 click. Didn't know, now the helicopters come, right for you, Ross? Ghetto bird come, swooping them up, go. What's she gonna do? You gonna strap that baby on your back, and you gonna get on that motherfucking bus, and you gonna take that ride to that penitentiary, and you gonna go to the visiting room, and you gonna visit your man, and you gonna bring your babies, and you gonna do what you gotta do. So part of doing what you gotta do, I gotta take care of home, I gotta take care of this baby, and I gotta put some money on this dude books. So I ain't got no choice but to get out here and get the dough. Hopefully you got a nice little job, you go to school, finish, get your little nursing degree, you get a little CNA, you know, or you gonna go to university, get you whatever. But you had to make that shit happen. I believe that had a lot to do with our black unification. That was the design to destroy our family structure.
Yeah, I think it started with that crime bill, Joe Biden's, that crime bill in 1994. Maybe that was part of the family destruction. Maybe we were on a better trajectory, and it was like, we gotta break up this black family. And so.
In the 70s, we on fire. The 80s, 70s,
Yeah,
we
it
on
was,
fire.
I think
Look
his
at the
bill was in
Jacksons.
1994. It
We
was,
had time, black people, come on, y'all. Good times.
Moving on up.
Shit, we was there with George, nigga, what? We are up here. And they was like, nope, they're getting too close. Iran Contra, we had we had Chico Brown in here.
Yeah.
Hello, Chico. Talking about it, real life shit. Cry, smile, what do you say? Some smiles and cries for your ass. You know what I'm
Which he
saying?
brought up a very
Straight
important
real.
fact that I had never thought about when he talks about the gun violence that had happened.
Mm.
And if
Chico.
I shot you or you were incarcerated, then that whole lineage of individuals that
Genocide.
you would have had the potential of creating is now also lost. you know?
Forever.
So not just the children that man or woman would have had, but the grandchildren and the great-grandchildren. I think he counted up to over 30 people with one single bullet that we've lost. Yeah.
So there's my thing of what happened to black men. Clearly, you know, it just is what it is. And then, you know, we had Noreen McClendon on. I don't know if you all remember, she's the author of Hurt People, Hurt Me. She talks about around the flip side of incarceration. So she's talking about it from the perspective now for these individuals who are now getting out, been out for a cool minute, and the psychological effects on both the, you know, the man who's re-entering into the, you know, into the mainstream life and these relationships and those long-term incarcerations and the psychological effects of that with regard to just sexuality, the myths of it. It's just a whole complex, you know, hardcore reality of what these people will not do to destroy a nation and people. And, you know, but we've got to keep it going. We've just got to keep our nation and people going. In my opinion, we can't stop it. And so shows like the Poetry of Justice, see what the ladies in the chat, Mr. Rod, Mr. Keith, Lena, Angie, Dante, Krista, and Whitley, you know.
so have we decided, can we change it?
Yes.
We can.
We can start with our Soulful Sundays. Because people will see what that looks like, and then you do it again, and then you do it again. Because, right, how do we learn? By repetition. A, B, C, D. And you see it over and over again, over and over again. And we can be that homework. We can own that. And bring that back. It's just, you know, I think We sometimes look for a grand, we're looking for Louis Farrakhan again, who the brother minister has been silenced in their way. But, you know, we're looking for that. We're looking for Dr. King. We're looking for Malcolm. They're gone. They ain't coming back.
Have no leaders.
But if each one of us is Malcolm in here, you know what I'm saying? Each one of us is whatever you want to pull from the Dr. Martin, it's in here. But it's also about us and who we are and the time that we took just to come down here tonight and do what we're doing, is showing that we have a passion. And what my dearest friend has told me when I was going through a struggle, all you have to have is a desire.
Mm-hmm.
And if all we have to have is a desire, we can do anything. And then that'll take me to the spiritual piece of is planting your seed where you want your harvest to grow. And we want that to grow starting here. You know what I mean? And we're just letting that go and let it grow. And I think we can do it. I know we can. And how far will it spread? That's not our worry. Our worry is to plant the seed. Just keep planting and then keep more shows and then Melina coming back and Angie coming back and keep coming back. That's the water, right? We're watering it. And we're just letting it grow. And it's going to get, life always finds a way.
Contagious.
And then it'll grow. That's just my opinion.
Great words. Great words.
I definitely agree with you. We do. I think we do have to get back to our traditions, like the Soul Food Sundays and taking time and spending time. And I'm just interested in what you guys think about this high-tech world that we live in. How do you think that has impacted traditions or time, our mentoring, our modeling? Because everybody's like this, right? You know, everybody's like that. And how's the engagement? How do you engage?
They're not
What do you think,
engaged.
Melina, about that?
I think the technology and everything that's going on right now truly is basically to disconnect everyone from each other. It's basically a form of control to me. I think that they want us to become puppets because we are. I mean, literally, one day my husband and I were driving down a street in Long Beach, right? And it truly looked like we were in a movie. Seriously, we stopped, we looked to the right, and everyone was literally on their phones. Their head was down. So I was like, this is weird. You know, this is strange. I said, I feel like I'm in a movie.
Like the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, seriously, like the Twilight Zone. And I actually didn't even have my phone to take a picture of them being on their phone. Because we literally put our phones away. We disconnect when we come in the house. We lay our phones, we check on the family, and we put them down. So I think truly it's to actually control us because really they don't want us to think. I mean, if you start thinking on your own and thinking outside the box, then
I think there's something to that Big Brother's watching, like that Alexa and Echo and all of those things. Yeah.
Angie, what do you think?
I was just thinking about, because I help out at a daycare, I kind of pick up kids after school for one of the parents. Well, anyway, the teens that I pick up, they're like 12 years old, whatever. They say hi and go straight to the phone. So I try to engage them and try to talk to them, but they don't. It's something going on, so we need to bring them back to when I remember when I was a kid, we used to play the board games. Remember Monopoly and all those games? They don't know anything about that. So we need to bring the kids back to that because the phones, the technology is taking over our kids.
Yeah.
The other girl that gets in the back seat, she don't even say hi. I make her say hi to me, and I think that's so disrespectful.
It is.
So
It is.
I'm having an issue with it.
Yes.
So I'm trying to engage her too, but they're so busy, you know, doing all this that they don't have time to even say hi.
they don't know how to say hi
Right.
because they don't know how to socialize.
Right.
And when I was a kid, you better say hi.
Oh, yeah. You would get in trouble walking in the room not speaking.
Absolutely.
Right, that was
Yes.
disrespectful.
Yes,
It's
yes,
just-
yes,
I don't know
yes.
what's going on. We gotta bring our kids back.
And I think that's part of the issue with the black family too, being a little bit different now. I think parents are accepting that. Like, for example, there are times that I will go to dinner with my family and I call it be here now. We're not doing phones tonight. Be here now. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have conversation. We're not going to, this person's on their phone, this person's on their phone. Be here now. I need you to put your phone away. It's only an hour and a half that we're gonna have dinner and we're spending time with each other. So I also think that with the black family, sometimes as parents, or any family, now with this new technology, it's very easy just to get wrapped up in YouTube. but you've got a family.
Mhm.
But you're so wrapped up in each other and trying to make this work that you're forgetting about those other little people that are part of that family.
Yeah, I agree with Shelley. I think there's a pocket of the black family that does that. You have 1 hour on your iPad tonight. They set some rules around technology. But then there's a pocket that we forget about that their mothers are not at home. They're still latchkey kids. Their mothers want them to, sometimes that is a mode of distraction or me time for the family. And so I see it all the time as social economic status has a lot to do with that too, and level of education, because we know the damage that it does. But some people, that's like not a scapegoat, but that's what they have to do in order to survive.
Yes.
In order for the mother to have me time, you go in your room and you get on your iPad, you get on your thing, and that's what they, that's what they say.
They do that. That's what I'm saying. You
They
have
don't-
to.
That sounds very well rehearsed, Tanya. I was a little concerned.
No, well, we didn't have that technology when my kids were growing up, but I'm saying I see it. I see it. It's just so apparent that a lot of them are forcing their children to that because it takes away, because they're not gonna see. We could run the streets and we could go home, be home by street lights. A lot of people are not letting their kids do that. So when we have outdoor activity and be home by street light, and the neighbors was watching us, that's not happening. You try to chastise somebody else's
They
kid
will
nowadays,
cuss you out.
Yeah.
they gonna cuss you out. And so it's me and my kids, we're over here, you go in there and you do that, and that's the way of them keeping their kids out of trouble. And I think that's what's happening too.
What do you think, Rob?
Well, I was just thinking, listen to all that good feedback. I was in Mississippi maybe 5 or 6 months ago, and my cousin, Mr. James Lee, barbecue, whatever, but they pray. I noticed a lot of people, they pray, and I was just in awe, because I was raised in the church, and every morning before breakfast, after the breakfast, they get ready to go to school, they sit back and everybody grab their hand, Heavenly Father, and let us go safe on our journey and stuff. And maybe if it's not even prayer, but if the black family was just have a meeting, we just start with this generation, the kids, the children, everyone, before we leave, that we get back to see each other that evening. Some type of meeting, conference, or prayer, and get back into the essence of, like the caller called in and say too, get back to God.
Yes, back to the church.
That is very, very, very true, definitely. So I think with my area, which kind of ties in now, and we may pick back up after the break, is we talked about the children, right? And so I'm an educator, and when I thought about the black family, the thing that popped to my mind instantly is what we call in education the educational achievement gap. And so when we look at how our children are performing nationally comparative to other minorities, not even the majority, other minorities, each year they are falling further and further behind in terms of their educational achievement. I know at my university, which is disheartening, 10 years ago, our African American rate of admission was at about 14%. Do you know what it was this year?
3.
Yep. Well, you don't count because you know math. But it's 3%. Do you know what our Latino American percentage is?
18.
Almost. We're approaching 21%. So what does that say? And of those 3%, only 1/3 of them are men of color, are African American men. Right? So it's like we're
Sure.
regressing in some ways, right? And so I'm really interested in talking about what that means.
Well,
What that
maybe
means
if they
if we are
have
becoming
second
less
place.
and less competitive in a world that is becoming increasingly technology based. And this is what we're teaching our children or not teaching them. Where do we end up 20 years from now?
That's why we have to make that change. We have to.
Yeah, and I'm listening to you saying, what is the difference between the Latino family and the African American family? Where that gap is widening, right, as far as education. And when you look at the Latino family, they can all live together to get to a goal. We can't do that. They can all, you know, they sacrifice, they're cooking meals at home, they're doing a lot of things that we used to do that now has become their tradition. And so you see it, you see the educational level, you see even in nursing, you're seeing more nurses, and it used to be, you know, a fair amount of African American nurses, and you're just seeing it. So what's the difference in the gap? Because before, I think at one point, and I'm not trying to, you know, show the difference between race, but at one point, the African American family appeared to be more solid than a Latino family, and now it's shifted, and I don't know what's caused that shift. Yeah.
Well, I think that is great food for thought at our 1 hour break. And when we come back, we can kind of maybe put on the table, what have we seen? I mean, why is there that disparity and that growing widening gap?
YikesRadio.com. But don't we have some, please tell us you guys have some fun stuff for us.
Jerry's gotta do the work, that's all I can say. We know the game, we know the plan. They trying to just wipe us
Jackie
off
said,
some other
"Topic
state
over."
again. Mike, they want us off the playing field, and we know that. But you know what?
And we don't make ourselves look too
Meat
good.
shall inherit the earth.
Let's
And
talk
we
about
just gonna
that.
make that shit happen like we always do. They always want to steal our culture, rob our shit, so we can talk about the stats and the rates and all that bullshit. But they still want to be black. Power to the people. That's all I'm saying. Straight, shit, Compton, nigga. I don't know what to tell you. When we finna go on a break, we'll be back. I want to see Jericho back on the side of the road. Damn. I couldn't do no more, Jimmy.